Need to hear about. And the first one is Drake May. What am I seeing in the young New England quarterback right now?
Yeah, he's become one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL, playing like a top 10 quarterback. I love how much they chip and help on the perimeters of their protection to give him a pocket to climb up into. He's 20 of 27 on throws that have gone 30 yards or more downfield. That's by far the best in the NFL. And we're talking about MVP, and we talk about value to a football team. He's going to get into that conversation.
Can we talk quickly about their game this weekend? They played Tennessee. Tennessee just fired their coach. Mike Vrabel was their coach. It's been suggested to me he is going to desperately want to exact revenge. You played for him in Tennessee. What do you expect?
I think anybody who told you that knows Mike Vrabel very, very well.
It was Eddie Bruschi.
He's done an incredible job on the podium this week, the important versus interesting comments, all that stuff. He knows how to handle the podium. This one is personal for Mike Vrabel. He'll tell you it's not. It's all about the players. But at the end of the day, he wants to walk into Nissan Stadium, and he wants to put up 3 scores in these guys, and then eventually go for 2 at the end of the game and give him the old, it's because I couldn't go for 3.
Exactly.
I bet Nissan cheers for him. I bet he gets some cheers.
I think that is.
Titans, they're in such disarray.
This conversation breaks my heart, but Will Compton is absolutely correct.
All right, next quarterback I want to hear about, Dan, the even younger Jackson Dart. What are we actually seeing here?
Well, we're watching a guy that played arguably the best game a quarterback has played against the Eagles defense in maybe a year. I mean, he's been very impressive. Obviously, throwing the football to the receivers that aren't. Malik Neighbors, his legs have been a huge part of the conversation. One, I love how much he's doing that. 2, he's got to stop taking the hits. When and where. Situational football. I love the juice that it brings, but we can't take hit after hit, especially this weekend going against a Denver front that absolutely chases quarterbacks.
Very quickly, Will, you had the Giants in an upset before. Do you like the Giants to upset the Broncos this weekend?
Oh, man, I like taking the creatine monohydrate in the morning and at nighttime. I love the way Jackson Dart playing. I love the way Cam Scatterboo runs the
Greeny has
football.
no clue what you're talking about.
But keep going.
Creatine monohydrate?
Creatine Caucasian.
Keep talking.
In the morning and at night, Cam Scatterboo runs the football like he's running from child support. I just don't think they have enough to get it done in Denver this weekend because this defense is next level.
All right, okay. And then, Dan, if I may, back to another quarterback. Let's talk about Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
He's going to get Rashee Rice back this week. What are we looking at?
Yeah, yards after the catch. No receiver led the NFL or had more catches in the NFL through the first 3 weeks than Rashee Rice did last year. It gives him the yards after catch guy. That's the one missing piece that we've seen on this offense over the past couple weeks. Right now, this offense in Kansas City is trending towards the best offense we've seen from them in 2 seasons, the most complete offense we've seen from them in 2 seasons. I think this offense is about to absolutely take off and score 30 to 35 a game.
My receiver, Hawk.
Yeah.
What exactly is Rashee Rice going to add here?
Oh, he's going to add everything. Rice makes every meal better in every culture. You got to
Right.
understand that. Number one, listen, when you look at what the Chiefs have been able to do offensively over the last couple of weeks since Xavier Worthy has come back, Thornton has come on, which gives them legitimate deep shots down the field. Look how Hollywood Brown and Juju are playing in the slot. This makes this receiving core probably the most dynamic in the NFL because they have weapons on every piece of the field. And if you give that to Patrick Mahomes, I hate to tell you, it seems like it's going to be the same old story.
So that's the thing. The more things change, the more they stay the same. We spent 6 weeks of this season figuring out who's the real team. Oh, it's obviously Buffalo. Baltimore is the most talented. The Steelers are doing their thing. The Chargers were going to run away with it. At the end of the day, the path to the Super Bowl goes through Kansas City again.
Death taxes in Kansas City is exactly what it is. Patrick Mahomes, even before when he didn't have the weapons after he lost Xavier Worthy in week 1, was still playing at an MVP caliber level. He was throwing, I think, on extended plays, he had 536 yards. That's pass plays over 4 seconds for all of you guys watching. And no, he's got more than anybody else in the entire league. The guy is absolutely incredible, and now he has all his weapons. It's terrifying.
It's painful. But the Chiefs they're playing some good football.
What's painful?
I've been.
Will's a notorious hater of the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm a notorious hater of the Chiefs.
Why?
You can find it on the X timeline. There's,
Chaos.
Raiders. I also feel like I got to troll the fan base a little bit. I got some nice reactions out of them, so it's just kind of been fun for myself to do so.
But in this moment, are they the best
in this
team?
moment, they are playing very good football. I want to say out of their 7 trips to the red zone last week against the Lions, they scored 6 out of those 7 times. They look really good. Defense is coming along. They complement each other well, and Patrick Mahomes, he's as good as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, this offense, like I said, the last 2 years, this offense has been a little bit of getting dragged to the end of games by Patrick Mahomes. Now this is the most complete group that they've had. It's the most kind of different ways they can get to good football. I'm not ready to sit here and say that the conference runs through Kansas City.
No.
I think Denver defensively is far too good to pretend and sit there and go that they don't matter. If the Chargers can get healthy up front on their offensive line, they matter. Indianapolis offensively is very good. Buffalo has to get healthy. So I'm not ready to sit here and say, no questions asked, Kansas City's going to repeat. I think there's still a group of 4 or 5 teams that can beat them.
I get it. But the point is, I think there was a narrative that they had taken a step back.
Right.
And I think they have reclaimed that step, right? There's no question. You're going to have to beat the champ
the punch
in order
in the mouth
to get
quote
there.
from Gronk.
Yeah, but the narrative
Big
was
Ray
accurate. They weren't a good offense last year.
Go back to one that Willie C. got right.
Love the Panthers this weekend. Dallas on the road again. Panthers 2-0 at home. This is a Rico Dowdle revenge game.
Wow.
Look at him last week. 23 carries over 200 yards, 169 after contact. Like he said in response to Coach Shoddy, get your seatbelt, buckle up. I love the Panthers.
The question is being raised, is that the same shirt?
Yes. I have a couple that I got a little Rolodex of 2, maybe 3, but this is the same shirt from last week.
You only own 2 or 3 shirts.
Well, there's just a couple go-tos you want to have. You don't want to think about it too much when you walk in the closet.
I understand that.
Say,
That
hey,
can
is
be
this shirt
challenging.
washed? Let's
Doug's
go.
funny.
All right, let's play a game. Let's play a game of who you got, because we know that we get these picks right regularly. Dan, let's go Green Bay, Arizona. Who you got?
I'm going to take the Packers. That being said, this is not a Super Bowl contending football team until their offensive line plays better in their gun run game. I like a lot of the things that they do offensively. This has been a strength of their football team, but you watch these clips and consistently they're getting met or pushed back at the line of scrimmage. The second part is this. I love Jordan Love. We can't have some of their outrageous interceptions. The one he threw this past weekend is completely unacceptable. So he's got to clean that up, and their offensive line's got to play better.
Lewan, let's go to London. Rams, Jaguars. Who you got?
In this game, I'm going to have to take the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Really?
That offensive line up until last week only gave up 6 sacks. They ended up giving up 7 against the Seattle Seahawks. This is a big game for Walker and Cleveland, the left tackle and left guard, for them to get right the ship and get it right. Trevor Lawrence is playing very well. You saw it a couple weeks ago against the Kansas City Chiefs, fumbling around, taking his team down for a game-winning drive. And so I think they've been to London 14 times. The second most has been, I think, 9.
Yeah.
They know how to operate, and I see them getting done here.
All right, and finally, Will, how about Commanders, Cowboys? Who you like?
I like the Commanders. I got to stick with the Commanders here. They do have some question marks after the Chicago game, the way that they were Chicago was having success running the football. Washington came into that game one of the better run defense. They were playing a lot better, especially when you look at last year. But Chicago was able to expose them a little bit in that area. I know CeeDee Lamb's coming back for the Cowboys, but they still have to fix that defense. It's still broken like the McDonald's ice cream machine. So I like the Commanders here.
Let's stop down on that game for a minute here. Cowboys, Commanders, a big game, a very important game, with both of them coming off losses last weekend in games that you figured they probably would win. So if I were to say to you to crystallize it down to one thing, what does this game come down to?
Washington's defense, and they're not a playoff team unless that defense gets better. This has been a bad defense so far this year. Right now, this defense gives up 13 yards per completion. In the NFL, that's an astronomical number. And unless they get better or make a move at the trade deadline, this is a defense run-wise that's been okay. They've got matchup problems on their back end. Dorrance Armstrong's really been the guy that could get after the passer. He's got a hamstring injury. This game's not about the Cowboys defense. We talked about them enough this year. This game's about Washington defense. They have to get better, or that defense will keep them out of the playoffs.
Well, as for the Cowboys, the comparisons I'm getting here all week are to Burrow's Bengals of a year ago. Offense so good, but defense so bad, it keeps them out of the playoffs. If they get CeeDee Lamb back this week, and it looks like they're going to, what is this offense going to be?
I think this offense is able to score enough points to outscore the worst defense in the league, which is the Cowboys defense. Because it gives them George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, especially when you look at the Washington Commanders. Last week against the Bears, they gave up so many perimeter runs to Swift, like 10-plus yard runs. And down the field, to Dan's point of 13 yards per reception, you have 2 number 1 receivers. By CeeDee being out, George Pickens has kind of stepped in, and he's kind of like gotten used to this offense. He's gotten comfortable with Dak Prescott, and now you're going to add CeeDee Lamb back into the lineup. You can't cover them one-on-one. You can't double one and leave the other one exposed. And it's going to be tough for the Commanders defense.
I think it's interesting getting CeeDee Lamb back because George Pickens has done such a good job since CeeDee Lamb's been off the field. What happens when he has to now have the ball can only go to one guy at one time?
Well, what does happen?
Yeah,
Like,
because
what-
a couple weeks ago, we sat here, we're like, someone's got to get in George Pickens' ear and tell him, hey, if you ball out this year, you're going to get $25, $30 million a year.
Right.
He's been doing that since then, but CeeDee Lamb's been off the field. So how does it look from an ego standpoint of who gets the ball?
I don't think it matters. I mean, CD has his money. George Pickens is chasing it. The hope is that George Pickens understands the bigger picture of like, hey, yes, the targets are going to change, but if they're going to have to make a decision of somebody to take away.
Right.
You're still going to see one-on-one.
Just understand how.
And Dak Prescott is playing in a way where the number one receiver is the guy who's open.
And him just know how he's still just as important as everybody else, even if he's not getting the ball.
But this is the biggest question. Like, if you want to know what George Pickens is going to be, whether he's going to get the contract, be the number one guy, it will be when CeeDee Lamb gets back into this lineup.
But
Are you only a Batman guy, or can you be a Robin as well? Not that he's going to be a Robin, but his ability to still be productive like we've seen him without CeeDee Lamb is kind of what we're looking at.
So you don't think he's answered the question of being a number one receiver?
Absolutely. I don't think that was a question. I think everyone understood he has the talent to be a number one receiver. Pittsburgh understood it. Dallas Cowboys understood it. But with CD back into the lineup, to Taylor's point, if the targets are going to CD as the solidified number one guy in Dallas, how is George Pickens going to respond to that? Was that beginning part of the season just because he wasn't acclimated yet? Or is that what he's going to regress to because he's not getting the ball that he wants?
I think in most situations, this would become a potential problem. You know, the two number one guys. With Dallas and how bad their defense is, I actually don't think it will because they have to score so much that they're going to throw the ball 40 to 45 times a game. I would actually argue, as outrageous as it sounds, the Cowboys should not kick field goals once you pass the 50-yard line unless it's like 4th and 6 plus. If I was Dallas, my defense is as bad as it is. 4th and 6, 4th and 5 or less, I'm going for it all the time. Because those two receivers, I'm going to steal possessions in that way. I don't think this becomes an issue.
I was going to bring that up exactly. The good news for if you're George Pickens is we have to score 40 in every game, right? And if a
T. Higgins, Jamar Chase.
There'll be that many opportunities for them out there. That's my question. I'm looking up here. So Compton, you've got the Commanders in this game, and you said it originally at the beginning also. So you're not buying into it. I have been trying to make the case this week that the Cowboys defense has to get a little better. No defense is this bad. You can't be this ridiculously bad all year long. I think the Cowboys, they're this bad.
They're bad.
They're going to stay
he was
this
saying
bad.
you need them to score more than the worst defense in the league, which is the Cowboys. The only flaw with that is, like, the Cowboys are averaging 30 on offense. They give up 31 per game defensively.
Right.
So it's kind of, I'd love to go for it no matter what.
Go for it. Once you cross the 50-yard line, the other team, they're getting points. So why not keep it with your quarterback and two-star receivers and go for it on 4th down? Adopt like Dan Campbell's mindset. Once you go past the 50, we're going for it.
We'll see. With the Eagles looking like they've opened the door a little bit in the NFC East, we'll see if one of these two teams
Could I ask
can
one
walk
question?
through it.
Because Taylor was bringing this question up last night on the plane. He was saying, hey, winner of this game takes the East.
That is what that's what I'm saying. The Eagles have opened the door a little bit.
What he said.
I think we all thought it was the Commanders.
But also,
Hey, real quick. I know
Will.
no one said this yet.
Hey.
Does the winner of this game take the East?
I was just asking that question. Let me just throw one more thing before we get Jess back in here. Let's do it side by side. Who wore it best? Was it did Will Compton wear this shirt better last week or this week? So back on Get Up, the Bussin' Boys in the house. Let's do Straight Outta Compton with Willie C. Will's got bold, big takes. And let's start with the first one about the team with the best record in the AFC.
Yeah, the Indianapolis Colts, when I look at their schedule here, the wins, Dolphins, Titans, Raiders, Cardinals, lucky with the Broncos. They're overrated at 5-1.
I would disagree with that. I think this is a very good offensive line. They've got a guy who's playing offensive rookie of the year football, and Tyler Warren. Daniel Jones has been absolutely fantastic. I think they got one of the best slot receivers, Josh Downs, in football. The only caveat I'd say is this is the first week this season that this past game against the Cardinals, Daniel Jones this year looked like Daniel Jones of the past. Threw one really bad interception, should have had another one. Is that the blip in the season, or is that a little bit going back to reality?
Yeah, I mean, if I look at the 5-1 team, I'm kind of on Will's side. I'm not a believer yet. That schedule is very, very favorable. So, TBD.
You could hate on them all you want because of the teams that they play, but if you've only punted 6 times through 6 games, like there's nothing overrated about you at this point. You're a great.
We're a third of the way
you can
through.
fall back on. You have the leading rusher in the entire NFL. You have a great offensive line led by friend of the show Quentin Nelson. Like they've got themselves a squad.
There isn't any debate that they're good. The question is, are they like top of the conference
Little
kind of
inflated.
good. If the season ended today, they would be the 1 seed in the AFC. Would they be the 1 seed all the other teams were dying to play? I guess Buffalo, the teams that have been there before, Kansas City, those kind of teams.
Who do they get at quarterback? What version of Daniel do they get?
Well,
If they get the Daniel Jones that we saw for the first 5 weeks, they could be anybody in the conference. If they get the Daniel Jones that we saw against the Cardinals, they can get beat by anybody in the playoffs.
All right, the next one, Sunday night, we got Falcons and Niners. Give me a take on that.
I love this one. Falcons upset the 49ers in San Francisco.
I think anybody that turns on the film and watches the Falcons in their last game knows that this is not a bold take at all. You watch that offensive line, no disrespect.
Absolutely.
You just watch Bijan Robinson run. You watch that offensive line. You watch them. They're the best running team out of 11 personnel than any other team in the NFL.
Yeah.
They are incredible the way they run wide zone.
Dan, you had their game on Monday night. You and Lewis and the crew were terrific. I have been waiting for Atlanta to look like that. I picked them to win the division every single year, and every year I'm wrong because I sit there and I do the draft, and people tell me Kyle Pitts is a generational talent. Drake London is a generational talent. Bijan Robinson, generational talent. They draft Penix. Their entire offense was picked in the top 6 picks of the draft. Why have they never looked like it? Now they've got the pass rushers that they drafted this year. I feel like this team should be better than it has been.
Well, one, that running back that we see on the screen, he's going to be very much so at the top of the MVP list come November 1. He's absolutely off the charts good, absolutely sensational. I'd say this, if you're an NFC playoff football team, we're talking the Eagles, the Rams, the Vikings, the Packers, the Lions, if you can't stop outside zone, you're not going to beat this football team. The way they run it, as good as they run it, as much as they run it with that back, if you can't stop that run, you got a problem.
How ready is the quarterback? He's in his second year. He's only started, you said it on the 7 games or something like that. I think people forget because he played in college for so long. He's still very new in the NFL and didn't start most of last year.
They had 2 question marks coming into the season, the defense and the quarterback. The defense looks unbelievably fast, and they can get after the quarterback.
Right.
Michael Penix is going to have to be better versus man coverage. Right now, he eats up zone coverage. If they see man coverage, he struggles. He's going to have to take that step for that no longer to be a question mark.
I'm with you. If you're wondering where the 2024 Saquon Barkley went, he's in Atlanta, and his name is Bijan Robinson. That's how good he is. And I don't think, people aren't paying as much attention, but that whole offense runs through him. The questions are the same as Dan's around the zone. And Drake London, he's balling as well, but they did a lot of their damage last week against zone coverage. When they play man-to-man, we'll see if it picks up.
I like that take. All right, one more on a battle of 2 of the NFC's big boys this weekend.
Lions beat the Bucs by double digits.
Really?
Yes.
Who's buying? You buying that?
Yeah, I'm going to buy that. I love Baker Mayfield. I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're the media darling right now. But at some point when you have that many injuries, you're missing both running backs, 3 wide receivers, something's got to give eventually. And then there's always the wounded animal theory. The Lions get upset by the Kansas City Chiefs, or, they were favored, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They should have absolutely beat the Kansas City Chiefs. They go into a wounded Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I see them absolutely win this game by multiple touchdowns.
You're not buying it.
I'm not buying it. Give me
Hawks got
Buccaneers.
him as the best team in the
Tampa.
NFL.
I got Tampa. I think Baker is playing out of his mind, incredibly confident. There's not a throw he can't make. There's not a throw he doesn't make. No matter what the defense is presented, he's throwing the right pass every time to any wide receiver. I think he continues his tear.
Get the picks up on the screen.
Look at this.
Really
Look at this
quick.
ball.
Yeah.
Look at this ball.
He said, "Look at this
Oh,
Johnson."
my gosh, bro.
And shout out Tez Johnson.
Hey, look at him stick the landing.
MVP, Tez Johnson.
Yeah, MVP.
Dan,
go.
how about it? How about the Lions? Joe Fortenbaugh said something on here on Friday, kind of opened my eyes, that some of their people were talking about their offense is even better than last
They
year.
haven't run the ball great.
The numbers a little inflated based on the teams they've played against, and so far, I see you like the Lions in this game. You like them big?
No, I do not like them big. I like the Lions mainly because of all the injuries in Tampa Bay. What's happening in Tampa right now it should not be happening in the NFL. Most offensive line combinations in the league, most receivers that have gotten 10-plus targets in the league, usually that leads to losses. The reason I'm picking Detroit is attached to Tampa's struggles, at least health-wise. I think Detroit, when fully healthy themselves, is the best team in football. The loss to Kansas City, the terrible officiating call to take away Jared Goff's touchdown. That's a bad situation. I think that when healthy, they're the best team in football.
Okay, we'll talk more about them as we go. But there's a situation in the NFL that I have found fascinating, and the conversations we've had here all week have been really interesting, and it's in Miami. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa yesterday apologized for comments that he made after Sunday's loss to the Chargers. By now, I'm sure you've heard them. He questioned whether his teammates were being late for players-only meetings. He went on a long sort of conversation about that. His coach, Mike McDaniel, called his comments misguided on Monday. Yesterday, Tua found himself apologizing. Here's what he said.
I've made a mistake, and I'm owning up to that right now. I've talked to guys on the team about it, talked to the leaders about it. I felt like I let the emotions of the game get to me after the game, and that's something that I can learn from as a leader on this team. And what happens in-house should be protected, and none of that should have gotten out. And so, want to publicly apologize about that. Want to move forward.
The problem, well, not the problem. I have found it fascinating. All the former players I've had up here all week, beginning with Teddy Bruschi in that chair on Monday, and then all the way through, how much this resonated with them. So the entire situation, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like making an apology, it shouldn't. If you are the quarterback of a franchise, you should never put your team in a position to have to sit at a podium and apologize for remarks you made earlier in the week. That should always be the thing. He said it. It's got to stay in-house. They should always keep it in-house, but the McDaniels could have done a great job of maybe stopping the bleeding at his press conference. Listen, we're going to back him. We're going to be kumbaya. Handle that internally and then act like it never happened before. This is what happens when you know that a regime is ending, when a team is falling apart, when coaches are going to be changed. I saw it with Ken Wisenhunt my second year. This is just part of the process. This is the dominoes falling. It's
the process is what? Meaning everyone's pointing fingers?
Everyone knows that this head coach is on his way out right now, and all these other players, they're not playing for just themselves anymore. They're playing for the next coach that's going to come in, the following year. Everyone's now putting out their resume. So instead of letting the film talk, they're being like, well, I'm not the problem. This is the problem.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a great take. I think, when I'm looking at what Tua's comments were originally, right, I'm trying to find, okay, what is he actually pointing to? And what he's trying to say is there's a culture there. Whoever he's placing the blame on, whether it's players, whether it's coaches, whether it's front office, he's trying to point to a culture. And I think the reason why people took such offense to it, like across the board, is that, like, Tua, there's been times when you have not played well. When this regime came in, everyone said you weren't the guy, right? And you had some really good seasons, and here you are. And now the other part of that, I would say, is that these are now two cultures that you pointed to and said that they're not right in Miami. At some point, you got to look at yourself as the leader. Because if every culture doesn't work for you, what does that mean?
It sounds and feels like this version of leadership is just uncomfortable for Tua. For the longest time, everybody wanted Tua to be more outspoken and more demonstrative and get away from the Hawaii element of your personality. And then he started to do it this past year. And now we're all like, well, I don't like this version of Tua. And it just feels like he's not playing well enough. They're not winning. He's trying to do the right thing when it comes to leadership and say the right things when it comes to leadership, but it's uncomfortable for him, and now he's apologizing for doing something that maybe is not necessarily who he is, at least that version of who he is leadership-wise.
But on the outside looking in too, like we've seen it all year, like throughout training camp and everything else, we all have an inside look at what this team.
We know what it looks
like.
like.
Yeah, we know what it looks like. Like, it's all bad. There's nobody that really respects anybody. I'm not saying nobody likes anybody. I think they have fun playing together and everything else. But to your point and everybody else's point, like, this regime's probably on the way out. And guys are like, when Tua says he's going up to leaders and talking to them, they're probably hearing him. But the moment he walks away, it's like, this is quarterback talk. Like, this is basically every player right now. You're trying to put out a fire, and then you just go out to practice. You try and have fun. You go home. It's pretty much done in Miami.